So welcome back to the Average Dad channel. This is part 4 in a series. I'm building a vintage styled Fender Stratocaster modeled after a 1963 Stratocaster. All the parts are from Guitar Fetish. I don't get paid by them in any way, but it's a beautiful guitar so far. Maple neck, full vintage style route and body. What I'm going to concentrate on today is shielding the cavity with copper shielding. We're going to build a Faraday cage around the electronics, the pickups. Faraday cage just basically means Michael Faraday was a scientist that figured out that if you put a conductive medium around an object, you can protect that object from electromagnetic radiation or even static discharge. So, your pickups, you have electromagnetic radiation from televisions or microwaves or telephones or amplifiers if you're on stage, and those waves can be picked up by your pickups and create humming or distortion in your guitar that you don't want. So what you do is you build this cage of conductivity, or this Faraday cage, around all of your electronics. So what do? You line the route channels with this copper conductive material, and then you also put it on the back of your pick guard. So what you've created is kind of a cage or a box around all of your electronics, and you ground all of those. You ground this Faraday cage to the ground on the guitar. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, get it started and show you what I'm going to do, and then kind of come back a little bit later as I get a little bit further into this job. One thing about this copper tape, though, it does have conductive adhesive on the back, so you can buy rolls of this with conductive adhesive. So that way, if you have two pieces in the guitar body and they're overlapped slightly, the adhesive on this side will conduct and complete the circuit. If the adhesive is not conductive, it'll create an insulative seam there, and your conductivity will be lost between the seam. So you make sure you want to get this kind of tape with conductive adhesive backing it. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the guitar. One thing I want to mention about this job too is that I want to leave little tabs on the top where maybe some of the screws go. So what I'm going to do is lay the pick guard down and then try to mark out where the screw holes will be, and try to leave a little bit of a tab. And the reason I want to do that is because I want this to come over the top just a little bit, and the back of the pick guard will also have a conductive material on it. And when I put the pick guard on, I want a little bit of conductivity tab here on the top of the guitar body to touch the back of the pick guard. So now the pick guard and the tape that's in the route body will be conductive together. It'll be one Faraday cage. So everything will be like a box, a conductive box around the electronics. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this and show you how it goes. So I'm back, and I have the guitar mostly shielded inside the route channel. Haven't done the pick guard yet. Have a couple flaps overlaid here to make connection with the pick guard once the pick guard is shielded. I'll probably add like maybe a couple more, like right there, maybe like right here, right there maybe. But what I'm going to do now is I want to connect the jack route with the main route with a connector. I just took a piece of copper wire, and what I'm going to do is solder it on this side and then solder it on that side. That way these two things will have continuity, and that will help complete the Faraday cage. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm just going to solder it right to the side of the copper foil, and I'm going to put a piece of copper foil over the top of that, and that ought to give us a nice connection. So see if I can do that. See if my iron's hot enough. Okay, I just wanted to show you what I did here. So I just ran a piece of copper wire from the jack channel to the main channel, and I soldered it right to the the foil. Now all I'm going to do is just cover it. So there's a piece of wire. I don't know if you can see it there or not, but it's soldered right to the foil. So I'm just going to cover it, and what that does is it gives me continuity between the input jack channel and the main channel. And I'm just going to put a piece in here just to cover it. So now I've completed the circuit between here and here. And the next part is I'm going to drill a hole through here for the ground. And I'm also going to drill a couple holes for the claw. That's where we are right now. So the next part of it is the pick guard. I'll show you that. Okay, I hope you can see everything real well. So what I did with the pick guard is I kind of ran out of the copper tape, so I did use aluminum. And the thing about aluminum, though, I'll show it to you. You can't solder it. You can't solder the joints between the aluminum because we want to have continuity across this whole thing. But my copper tape has the conductive adhesive on the back. So what I did, I think it kind of looks better anyway. I like the copper, the silver-looking, aluminum-looking pick guard. So what I did was I put strips of the aluminum on the pick guard, and then I just seamed it with the conductive copper. So if you look at I have my multimeter here, and I want continuity, right? So I want conductivity between all parts of this pick guard. So if I put it goes to 0, so that means I have conductivity. You can't see the meter, but just trust me, there's conductivity. So if I go here, of course I'm going to have conductivity. If I go across the seam, I still have conductivity. If I go across the seam again, I still have it. If I go across again, I still have it. So anywhere that I pick on this, I have continuity anywhere. So it's fine. Even here, continuity. So in other words, what I'm saying here, it's conductive all across this surface. It's one big conductive plate at this point. And then here's the guitar. And if let's check continuity throughout here. So if I go across this channel, continuity, here, continuity, continuity. Yep. See here. Goes to 0. 0. 0. 0. So that means basically there's no resistance. No resistance. Just so it's definitely conductive all the way across. Yep. 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 Okay, so I'm good. So what I basically have now, when I put the pick guard on, it'll seat down, and this surface will touch these tabs right here. These tabs. And then this one doesn't need a tab because it's grounded here. So once I put the pick guard down and this touches these tabs, then I basically have a Faraday cage. I have a conductive cage where all my electronic components will be housed. So I'm going to go ahead and put the electronics back on the pick guard now and show you what that looks like. Okay, welcome back to the 1963 vintage guitar build. This is still episode 4. So I built my Faraday cage, and I've also built it on the back of the pick guard. So everything is conductive, and so it should be very well shielded at this point. What I need to do though is I need to attach the claw and then put the ground wire in. One thing, they did not drill the hole for the ground wire. And so I'm going to have to drill a hole through the guitar. I hate to drill holes in the guitar because it just makes me really nervous. I don't want anything to go wrong or come out on the wrong side of the guitar. But I'm going to bring the ground wire as close to the claw as I can. So it'll just come right up the side and right onto the claw. So I've measured it out. If you look at it, the distance from this edge right here to where I'm going to drill the hole. So that would be right here where I'm going to drill the hole, is that distance. That's where I'm going to drill the hole, and I just want to make sure I don't go too far because I don't want to drill into the body itself. So the hole should come out like right about here, and that's fine. And it'll come out right about here, and then I'll just run it over to the volume pot. So that's probably right about where I'm going to put it. I would like to put it a little bit more forward, but I'm just afraid. I don't really want to get too close. I might go a little bit further, a little bit more north. So I think what I'm going to do is use a 1/8 inch bit, which should be plenty big enough. And I know the body is 1 3/4 inches thick, so just to make sure, I know I can't drill through, just in case I end up in here for some reason. I won't be able to drill through because I put a piece of tape on here, and I know this is 1 3/4 inch thick, and so yeah. And then also I'm going to drill a hole for the claw. So when I'm just going to put a couple pilot holes for the claw, and I'm going to use this really long bit, so this lets me come in at a really shallow angle, and I can drill kind of into the body from there. So let's give it a go. So I'm going to go ahead and try to drill this hole first. Oh, that went through so easy. That went through so easy. Oh, it's right there. It's perfect. Perfect spot for it. So I have a piece of black grounding wire here somewhere. I'll dig it up in a minute. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and drill the pilot hole for the claw. And I know the screws for the claw are pretty big. So I've measured the size of the screw for the claw, so I'm not going to go any deeper. I'll probably go less than what the tape designates. So I'm just going to go ahead and carefully drill holes here for the claw. hopefully that'll do it. Okay, let me show you what I did. I just took a piece of grounding wire and I actually soldered it to the back of the claw, through the back. Instead of having to run it over the top, just run it through the back, which I thought was nice. So I crimped it in there with this little thing that comes on the tab that comes on the claw, and then I just went ahead and soldered it in. I put a little butcher's wax on the screws. It does make things a lot easier. And I'm just going to go ahead and feed it through the ground wire through the hole. That 1/8 inch hole is a little bit narrow. Goes through the. Flip it over here quickly. Pull the wire through. That makes it really neat. It just goes right behind the claw now, and you can't even hardly even see it there. So it's fantastic. So let's go ahead and screw these in. Now, by putting the butcher's wax on here, it really made a big difference. I always like to put something on the guitar over where I'm working. Go ahead and screw this claw down. I'm just going to take it down until I don't see too much thread. That's perfect. I think that looks really neat and clean because the ground wire is underneath the claw and it's soldered in there, so it's not going anywhere. The claw doesn't really move once you put the springs on it, so it just really gets the ground wire out of the way. One thing about the cavity too, I never put a back plate on the cavity. I just like the look of the open cavity. I hate that cheap piece of plastic that they put on the back of the guitars, especially those expensive Stratocasters. Can't they put like a nice piece of, I don't know, polished aluminum or something better than just that cheap looking plastic cover they put on the back of the guitar? So I just kind of leave it off. The pick guard came with a ground that you can attach to this, and what's good about this now, once this is connected to the ground on the pick guard, then everything, my Faraday cage, all my electronics, if there is an electromagnetic wave or radiation that, or any type of electricity that gets into the it hits my Faraday cage, it will all filter and go to ground, which is the input jack, the ground on the input jack, where you plug in. That sleeve is the master ground for everything. So we want everything to flow to that master ground. So I'm just going to go ahead and hook up the ground wire to the pick guard. And I'm actually, they give you this device for crimping it. I'm probably just going to use that. And I might even just solder it. Not sure. I'll probably just use this. This is good. So I'll be right back. Okay, this is what I decided to do. I tried that connector that came with the pick guard, but it was just, I kind of snapped it. And what I want to do is I'm going to use this thing, it's called a dolphin. It's a little connector, but I'm going to go ahead and solder it first. And then I'm just going to use this dolphin to kind of hold it in place and cover it. Let's put a little crimp on it. I'm going to put a little tiny piece of electrical tape right along the bottom. Just a little piece, just to cover up any bare wires that might be there. There. I'm just going to go ahead and install the pick guard, and I'll be right back. So I'm installing the pick guard, and I measured with a caliper to make sure this bit was a little bit smaller than this screw. I'm just going to do a pilot hole. What I've done is I've lined the pick guard up exactly where I want it to be, and then I put a little dot right in the center of each one of these with a fine tip Sharpie, so I know exactly where the center of the hole is, because I don't want the pick guard to shift. I'm just going to go ahead and I've taped off the bit so I know my depth, and I'm just going to drill the first one and just see if I have a good fit. That looks good. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish them up. And then I'm going to try to take a center line too, because I want to put you know, my strap buttons right on center and then right on the horn. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this. I'll be right back. So I'm just putting the trim springs on the claw here. I'm going to put all four on because I don't really care for the tremolo too much. I mean, I like my guitar to stay in tune more than anything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and put four of them on, all that came with it. I just put them on the edge. I don't know why people have to, you know, angle them. I don't think it really matters. So here's the great unveiling with the pickups, the headstock. Isn't it a beauty? Here's the trem bar. Oh, it's really tight. It's too tight. I can't even move it. I have to loosen it. Try loosening the bolts first. I don't know, it's pretty tight. Oh my, I can't believe it's that tight. Well, I changed my mind. I'm going to have to take a spring or two off here. think I'm just going to take I'm going to take 2 off and see what it feels like. Springs are brand new, so maybe that has something to do with it. There we go. That's perfect. Even that's a little stiff, but I'll loosen the claw just a hair more. Still tight, but I'll leave it at that for now. And I did buy some vintage knobs. They look kind of old. Have them here somewhere. So these are push-pull pots too for the humbuckers. I mean, I think those pickups look just awesome. I mean, it's a modern take on a vintage guitar, but it has a vintage look to it. You know, it has that aged white, kind of looks aged. I just bought the old standards as far as this goes. So that's what she looks like. So now I think it just looks absolutely fantastic. It's a great looking guitar. And now I'm just going to string it up and get it up to tune and stretch out the strings, and then I'll try to demo it for you. I've only been playing, I mean, I'm the COVID guitar player, so I started when COVID kind of took hold, so I've only been playing guitar for about 6 months, so it's pretty terrible. But you know, this is my journey. Part of it is building and dealing with the equipment, not just playing the guitar. So I'll give you a little bit of a demo here. So I'll be right back.